Yo guys, I'm Hunter. Some of you may know me as Pinkward, but most of you know me as Illuminati Shaco. A lot of people have been asking me for an informational or tutorial video on how to play AP Shaco, so I've decided to make one. I've been playing AP Shaco since 2011. At the time, I mostly played in the support role, but later moved to top lane where I found much success with it. I'm happy I have the chance to make this tutorial video to help all you who would like to follow in my footsteps. Now let's begin, shall we? My runes are a big key component in making Shaco work in the top lane. It may seem weird, but it works. Starting with marks, I take 9 physical damage. Physical damage marks allow for easier CSing on turret and give a boost in damage in the early game. Shaco's 2 shift poison has a 1:1 AD ratio, and deceive also scales with physical damage. Having the extra 9 damage allows for more poke and trades during the laning phase. Moving on to seals, I take 9 armor. I prefer these over scaling health because many top laners such as Maokai and Gnar have abilities that deal damage depending on enemy max health. Another reason is that champions and minions do some sort of physical damage. In glyphs, I take 6 scaling CDR. This helps to achieve the 40% CDR by in-game without a second CDR item. Next, I take 3 flat CDR glyphs to allow for an early game advantage without having to wait for my mid-game CDR spike from an Earl-Nomicon. Last is Quints. I take 2 AP Quints and 1 flat CDR Quint. The AP Quints slightly help my boxes and Shiv in the early game. The 1 CDR Quint I take combined with the 3 flat CDR glyphs and 5% CDR in masteries allows for an early 10% CDR to start off the game. My masteries are very unique. I put 25 points into the offensive tree and 5 into the utility tree. Masteries are very versatile, and I will be pointing out a few that I enjoy that allows my Shaco to work. Many of these masteries can be changed to whatever you like. These are my personal preferences. To begin, I will start with the 5 I use in my utility tree. The most important of the 5 are the 3 meditation. Meditation allows for a small bit of regen in the early game to help while you do not have items. The other 2 points I have are in Scout and Alchemist. The 1 point in Scout allows for long ward placement using your trinket. This is really good for safety while in lanes. It decreases the chance of face checking a bush and allows for counterplay if suddenly ganked. Alchemist gives a small boost in sustain in lane. Top is a very hard sustain lane, and this 10% boost to pots helps out a lot in the long run. Moving over to the offensive tree, I take 4 points in sorcery to give 5% CDR. This gives me a slight early game strength before getting Morellonomicon, while also giving me the 40% I need by in-game. Next, I get 1 point in Butcher for help with CSing. The slight damage does make a difference, especially when a creep might live with 1 to 2 health. Then I take 3 points in Brute Force and Mental Force. I also get a point in Martial Mastery and Arcane Mastery. These 4 masteries help with your early game trading. 3 of your skills have AP ratios, while your autos and deceive also benefit from physical damage. Next, I take 3 points in Executioner, which helps with my early game poke. The 5% is a lot of damage when you're able to poke them multiple times. I put a point into Spell Weaving, which allows for a slight boost when dueling my laning opponent. I try to make sure I get a few autos in when fighting on top of my boxes. Dangerous Game is an incredibly important mastery. Getting a point in it can especially save you from death in the early game if you're dueling your opponent with low health. The last 7 points help to give a bigger boost to my damage. Taking 3 points in Archmage allows for a slight increase in AP in the early to late game. The 3 points in Devastating Strikes helps to penetrate a percent of their early to late game armor and magic resist. Last, I take 1 point in Havoc, which is really beneficial to any damage class in the game. This wrapping up my 25 points in offense. As I said before, a few of these masteries such as Brute Force and Spell Weaving are just personal preference and can be changed to whatever you're comfortable with. For summoners, I almost always take Teleporting Ignite. Deceive is on a 6-second cooldown when full CDR, so you really don't need Flash. Teleport is a rather good spell for top lane, and Ignite helps to get kills. If my teleport is up, I will usually push my wave back by and run bottom lane to try to get a gank off. Then when I see the wave pushing to my tower, I will teleport back for CS. When leveling my skills, I try to answer 2 questions. 1. Can I kill the enemy top laner? And 2. Are they ranged? If I answer yes to either of these questions, I will usually max my Shiv while getting a second point in my box around level 5. I usually max my boxes versus hard engaged champions who don't have a good getaway after initiating. To name a few, I'll max my boxes versus Akali, Irelia, Jackson, Riven. Before completely maxing my box, I get a second point in Shiv around level 5 to allow for more poke in the early game and allow CSing on turret. I get an early point in my Q, but don't max it till last. With my ult, I level it when I can, as most champions. My build is a basic heavy mana caster build. I start off with fast 2 health pots and 1 mana pot. I then rush my tier, and after that Merlin for mana regen and CDR, while getting sorcerer's shoes for my boots. I usually get my Luden's Echo as soon as possible once I get my CDR items. This gives me a big damage boost and helps with split pushing in the early to mid game. After, I will usually rush Void Staff. Unless fed, then I will finish my Seraphs. After I get my Seraphs and Void Staff, the last item is either Zhonya's or Rabadon's. Most cases I will buy Rabadon's, but in the case that you're versus hard CC, you need Zhonya's. Zhonya's is a very helpful item that keeps you from dying while waiting on your cooldowns. Your box placement should follow a very intricate design. In the early phase of the game when laning, you want to use the Illuminati. Illuminati placement gives the best possible scenario in terms of fear. Using this placement, you can achieve the goal of chain fearing your target. If your target chases beyond the first box, they are forced into the fear of the second box, which in return chains them towards the third box, to have 3 boxes attacking the champion at once. In theory, this allows for the maximum effectiveness of boxes. As the game progresses, champion abilities are strong enough to usually one-shot Shaco's boxes, so by stacking the boxes on top of each other, it will rectify this problem. You will still contain your box placement and setup for when you need it without worrying about them getting destroyed instantly. A good example of this is Riven's Q. Later in the game, when she gathers the needed damage to do it, she'll be able to Q into a box and instantly kill it. Boxes can be used to cancel gap closers. Gap closers are abilities such as Lee Sin's Q, Resonating Strike, Irelia's Q, Blade Surge, Jarvan's R, Cataclysm, and many other abilities such as these. To do this, all you need to do is have 2 boxes on top of each other. You can bait a champion's ability while standing a slight distance behind the box. You want to be just far enough so that the boxes will activate before their ability fully lands, and just close enough so that the enemy champion does not activate the box before channeling the ability. Boxes are seamlessly easy to conduct within small areas like jungle paths. Box placement isn't too important since there's not much ground to cover when feared, meaning enemy players will have to go through your horde of boxes to reach you unless being flanked, which your boxes you set up behind will come in handy for safety. Boxes are good to place in lane bushes when being ganked while at low health, since you can bait enemies into the bush that think they've got an easy kill, but they are wrong. The boxes allow for you to turn around the situation, getting yourself a kill. Shaco in the late game fulfills a role that isn't seen much in League. Shaco is a supporting assassin who can help kite and clean up kills. In team fights, you will see me plant boxes in our own backline. These boxes are a good source of kite for anyone on your team. After planting the 2 to 3 boxes before a team fight, you should try to relocate yourself to the side of the enemy team. You want to drop a box or 2 before poking in case of a desperate escape. While in this position, you want to be poking down the enemy team backline. This will cause one of 2 things to happen. The first case, you will be able to poke down the enemy carry enough to force them to back or to kill them. The alternative case would be forcing the enemy team's front line to reposition themselves to deal with your harass, opening up a weak spot for your team to initiate. While in a team fight, you want to be dropping boxes every time it's up. While it's on cooldown, you want to be harassing with your Shiv. You want to focus champions who are low or the enemy backline. Being a strong mobile assassin, Shaco is able to chase down the few low champions, allowing you to ace the team. These are only a few basic steps to help you become an efficient team fighter with Shaco. As with many other champions, learning how to teamfight comes with practice. The more you play Shaco, the more you will learn how to become effective in teamfights. I made this tutorial to give you guys a framework on how to be a good AP Shaco player. Practice and personal experience will help to better you in the art of my Illuminati Shaco. I appreciate the view and will answer any questions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.
We're painted red to fit right in.